Hello there everyone, today I'm going to bring you a Pinkie Pie and Mod Pie story. It's called Under the Covers by Megapone. It's a Futa story, so hopefully you guys are intrigued. If not, get the heck out of here I guess. Anyways, let's hop right into it. Pinkie Pie cuddled up to the dark shape beside her, letting the other mare's warmth light across her skin. Mod Pie snored softly, her chest rising and falling gently as she slept. Pinkie Pie smiled to herself, both eyes closing as she hugged her sister tight. She clamped both hooves tight around Maud's waist and took a deep breath of her sister's scent as she cuddled up into her mane. Above them, the light hotel blankets shifted, slithering across their dark forms as the lights of Manhattan flashed by outside the blanket. As she felt the hard curves and contours of Maud's body, letting the familiarity if it all filled her with a nostalgic kind of drowsiness. Pinkie let one of her hooves drift off behind her sister's thigh. There she found a rather large bulge, a heavy weight poking up against the covers. As Pinkie's eyes opened sleepily, a small smile swept across her face, a familiar kind of warmth filling her loins as the bulge beneath her hoof stirred to life. A soft giggle escaped her lips, and Pinkie rubbed her hips teasingly against her slumbering sister's side. She could already feel wetness between her own legs, and the bulge between Maud's legs was only getting bigger. "Good morning, sleepyhead," Pinkie murmured, nuzzling into Maud's soft mane. She gave the fat lump between Maud's legs a pat, her smile widening when she felt the hardness of her sister's endowment throb in response. "Looks like some pony's still a little bit awake." Beneath her, Maud snored softly. Her package, though, seemed anything but asleep. Pinkie bit her lip, squeezing her generous thighs together as she glanced back at the door to the other room. Rarity was the only other mare sharing their hotel reservation, and her room looked to be totally dark. Perhaps she had the privacy to have a little fun so long as she was quiet, of course. Humming a lullaby to herself, Pinkie continued to stroke Maud's shaft to hardness. She savored the thick bulge of her sister's cock beneath her hoof, curling her foreleg around the medial ring as she felt it bob up against her wrist. Pinkie took a deep breath as the bulge beneath the covers pushed up to the bottom of Maud's chest and groaned as she exhaled, the taste of Maud's thick, masculine musk dancing inside her lungs. When she pulled her hoof from under the covers, it was shining with the gentle glisten of pre-cum. Pinkie tossed another glance toward Rarity's room, then licked it. She shivered with glee. It tasted like sugar, like cream, like everything sweet and tasty and delicious that she'd ever, and she wanted more. Stifling a giggle, she dove under the covers. Her big, bouncy mane shoved the blankets up by a few inches, but even that did a little to lighten the musk-heavy atmosphere underneath. Pinkie took a deep breath, nearly coughing as the full, heady musk of her sister's sleeping arousal filled her. Cooing softly, she began to rub against Maud's muscled thighs, stroking her sister's large endowment as she nuzzled the side. Maud was hard like a rock, she thought, giggling internally, and big, too. Maud was a full 2.5 feet long when hard, much larger than any stallion Pinkie had ever seen. She took another deep breath, the moistness between her legs doubling as she inhaled Maud's scent. It just tasted like home. She rubbed her face against the pre-slick side of Maud's cock, enjoying the way the warm, liquid arousal stuck to her cheek. Each gentle bob of Maud's flare left another damp smear of pre-cum visible through the sheets, and Pinkie moaned quietly as she did her best to lap up the near constant stream of arousal dripping down her sister's length. She slowly drew her tongue up the side, licking around a particularly thick vein before moving to suckle on the curve of Maud's flare, her tongue flicking back and forth as she savored her sister's taste. Maud's shaft twitched and Pinkie grunted, soon finding her sister's entire girth thrust rudely into her muzzle. She moaned, the vibrations of her gums eliciting another spurt of pre-cum as Maud's thickness buried itself deep in the back of her throat. Her tongue darted playfully in and out of Maud's fat, drooling cock slit, tasting the insides as more and more pre-floated first, eager for Pinkie to gulp it down. Without a note of warning, Maud's cock throbbed powerfully. Pinkie's eyes widened, her throat contracting as she felt the sudden weight of two strong hooves pressing against the back of her neck, forcing her down. She gurgled helplessly as Maud's shaft was pushed further and further down her throat, her neck bulging around as the slumbering Maud unconsciously choked her with every inch of her cock. Pinkie moaned, the girdled vibrations of her pleasure only stiffening the oversized organ further. Maud's shaft had pushed almost all the way down her stomach, keeping her upper body stiffly in place as Pinkie's lips continued to helplessly push up and down the bottom of her leg. Up and down she went, Maud's strong hooves slamming her shaft against her throat like a simple cock sleeve. Pinkie's eyes watered, both from the exertion of it and the pure, stifling scent of stallion that filled her every sense. She loved it. With a roar of shuddering vibration that filled her ears entirely, a massive ocean-sized load of jizz came rushing through Maud's cock and down Pinkie's throat. She gurgled, almost choking, as Maud's throbbing member forced her throat wider. The tightness and pressure of it, so much that she almost thought she would burst. Each spasm of her sister's enormous organ deposited another quart of hot, viral seed in her gut, a veritable sea of spunk churning heavier in her belly by the second. There was just so much cum. Pinkie frantically fought down by her middle, her hoofs sinking deep into the punch that was rapidly forming there. She could feel her belly rounding now, stretching taut and bloated as it filled with Maud's load. Her eyes are watering, her jaw creaking as Maud's hips bucked instinctively, even her slumbering form in total control of the output of her orgasm. More and more cum was forced down Pinkie's throat, such a volume of seed to fill her that her stomach felt as wide and heavy as though she forced to down a 12-course meal. Pinkie could have cried in happiness, as she was merely content to moan. A bit quiet, she didn't want to wake Rarity, after all, still being filled with so much of Maud's creamy frosting felt incredible. The sweet, salty load of her sister's climax filled her with an energy and satisfaction like few she'd ever known. Her throat tried to contract, trying to swallow even more of Maud's cock, but her sister's member was just too long, too wide, too thick to allow her to do so. Maud's firm hands and rock-hard member just kept her in place, anchored and speared on her spasming shaft as pint-sized volleys of jizz skated down into her insides. Maud's climax finally came to a stop. Her hooves released their grasp on Pinkie's head, freeing her. Pinkie's muzzle slipped backward, her lips sliding across the cum-slick surface of Maud's shaft. As she struggled to breathe, she could feel her throat clenching reflexively, each inch of her sister's mountainous endowment leaving her tender, well-rounded body as the vast load of Maud's orgasm jiggled and sloshed inside of her. Her lips finally came off of Maud's flare with a wet pop. Pinkie groaned softly, kneading her stomach as she felt Maud's load churn within her gut. With a soft, satisfied sigh, she thumped back onto her pillows, a soft dribble of cum leaking from the corners of her mouth and staining her chest. Pinkie stifled a giggle, licking at her lips as she watched Maud's erection slowly soften. She patted her bloated tummy, smiling to herself as she felt her older sister's seed slosh inside. Gently, she turned her head to lightly nuzzle Maud's cheek. "Good night, Maud," Pinkie whispered. She planted a kiss on her sister's muzzle, then lay back on her own pillow, her eyes slowly drifting shut as the gurgling of cum in her belly softly lulled her to sleep. At one point she thought she heard a voice, her sister's voice, low, monotonous, and satisfied, echoing in her ears. "Good night, Pinkie Pie," Maud Pie said, and kissed her on the cheek as she drifted off. Pinkie thought she could feel something long, something hard, slick, and warm, grinding up against her thigh. She fell asleep with a smile on her face, each throb of Maud's stallionhood, the lullaby that pulled her gently to sleep. The end. Alright guys, that's it. I'm trying to do more like one-shot stories because right now I'm like doing chapter stories. Also, I think my fucking voice just gave out. Anyways, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Have a great night.
100,000 stories have filled my head as I look for the answers in what I've read. Secretly waiting for my life to change, and with this transformation